Welcome to where the screen door slams and the coffee mug hits the table. You're listening to The Family Balancing Act with me, Maureen Huntley, mom, grandmother, and board-certified holistic and functional medicine health coach. Each episode will explore the realities of your day-to-day family life in this modern era of nonstop texts, memes, and technology. After all, how do we keep ourselves sane and our family healthy? I'll have amazing guests and thought-provoking discussions, and we'll take a holistic look at family health, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. Whether it's a micro perspective of family involving healthy snacks, teenagers with an attitude, stressed out husbands, partners, adult children, potty training, elder care, grandchildren, college prep, or a macro perspective of world events, including flu, earthquakes, the brainwashing media, finances, and oh, so much more. We'll find a way together. So take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone. Bring on the Family Balancing Act. It's January 2023. Welcome to the Family Balancing Act. Come right in, pull up a chair, grab a coffee, a green juice, and just relax. Take a deep breath and know that you're not alone, because we have a lot to chat about here on the Family Balancing Act with my guests today, Kim Schultz-Ferrantino and Lynn Venestra, here on the Family Balancing Act, where we are restoring the heart of motherhood one conversation at a time. I'm Maureen, your host, board certified in integrative, holistic, and functional medicine health coach. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I'm a wife, and I'm the CEO of my family's home operations, just doing the balance and dance daily. Oh, so here we are. New year, new you. No. Not doing it. If you follow the Family Balancing Act Facebook page, you might have seen this. New year, same me, but I will love her better than ever. It's not a new me that I want, or really ever want. I want to try new things, behaviors, thoughts, and experiences. And as I do, acknowledge how I've grown accustomed to myself and my ways. Change some things, but I'm like an old shoe. I'm broken in, but not broken. I kind of love me, all of it. The joy, the good decisions, and the bad decisions, and my silliness and my sloppy ways and my emotional mess and my strength and my humor and my yada, 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 yada. Many of my friends and clients pick their word for the year. You know, the ones you see on social media, or the ones you might post on social media or on your refrigerator or your computer or your bathroom mirror. This is a reminder of what you want for this new year. Bettering oneself, right? Well, what's your word? You want to know my word? Yeah, well, my word for this year is freedom. Freedom. The freedom to be me, to follow my God-given path and to not give my power away because of what others think I should do. Oh, and there's that word should. The word freedom indeed is full loaded and is the right of every human being on this planet. For me, it's my word. Say me. Just doing me. So along with my word, freedom, is my boundary list, my personal declaration. I start this, and I try to do this every year at the beginning of the year. And I start by writing out all of my limiting beliefs. You know, I know it sounds negative, but it's not. It's just me taking care of me and taking a good look at my fears and my doubts and my anxieties. And then I basically put a no in front of the word of the statement. No is a full sentence. Yet sometimes it's just really, really hard to say no, especially to those you love. But if you love yourself, you love God, you can say no. So here are a few of them, and feel free to take them or throw them out, or take the ones that resonate with you. For me, no overwhelm. I'm done with it. I'm not doing overwhelm anymore. Nope. No petty conversation with energy suckers and vampires. No blame, no judgment, no shame, and no emotional abuse allowed ever. No. No hatred, no accusations, no restrictions, no limiting beliefs from others. And as you go along, things come up in March or June or December, but just add to your list. Oh, and by the way, this list is a two-way street. Don't do it to others because it's often preceded by the word should. And it drives me crazy when someone goes, oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or you should. And lo and behold, what happens? I end up paying it forward like it was some sort of a gift. My kids get it, my husband gets it, and then my friends do. And oh yes, my clients do sometimes. And that's not a good thing. Nobody should do it to anyone. So about that word should, it implies that the one who speaks the word knows more than the one who is on the receiving end. And yes, they may know well, but they've been well schooled, they have degrees and papers hanging on their walls, and they're the head of all you know it committee in their business and their social circles. But they are not you. They are not your body. They are not your soul. They're not a new you, a revised you, or from an old you, or whatever you. You have the freedom to do you. There's been an ever-growing movement in our world to hand over our power to a bigger power, and that is a problem, in my opinion. I choose freedom as my word, and I don't want anyone or anything ruling over me other than God, and yes, Jesus Christ. Medical freedom is paramount, and yet health and medical fears and scare and scarcity tactics are an epidemic in the Western world. What happens when these things don't work? Where's the establishment, pharma, the medical institutions? Why do they go quiet? Now, let me qualify my statement. This is not about all medicine, all doctors, or all healthcare providers. This is about the quick fix, the oops, it didn't work. Now let's ignore it group. It does exist. And I invite you today to join in a very big conversation with two women I'm absolutely honored to have join me. We met through a remarkable mutual friend to all of us, my former co-host, Cynthia Henrich. God rest her. I'm not going to cry. Whom I have no doubt is right here, right now with us. And if she had her voice, she would say so much about this subject. But it's coming through us. Kim Schultz-Ferrantino and Lynn Vinistra are smart and brave, and they're here to share their mesh implant story here on the Family Balancing Act. Kim is a board-certified holistic nutritionist and essential oil advocate enthusiast with over 15 years experience in holistic health and essential oils. Her passion and her drive comes with her desire to improve her own health, and she's been put to the test, and the health of her family. And Lynn is a board-certified holistic health coach, a mental wellness coach, and a digital marketing mentor. Lynn's passion is to help people and help women, entrepreneurs, create optimal health and financial wealth. We need someone like that in the tribe, don't we? from a holistic approach. She believes that when we start by taking care of ourselves, right? And it starts from the inside and flows into every part of our lives. Her story is a testament to this. So they have just launched a Facebook group called Medical Mesh Mess, Solutions for Women. Walk out of your darkness and into your healing light. So please join me in welcoming my dear friends, Kim and Lynn. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
I am so psyched to have this conversation. Just psyched. And woohoo, let's do the happy dance.
You know, Maureen, yeah, we both can't thank you enough. You know, with I would love to have Lynn share her story, because I feel like Lynn is really the kickoff on this one for us. But without her bravery and everything she's had to go through, I don't know where I would be. But you and I have discussed coming on the show for such a long time, and bringing such great information out, and you've given me this great platform and opportunities to talk about health and wellness for people, which I'm hoping, you know, that will never be, there'll be more opportunities in the future for that as well, which I know there will be because we know each other. But this is so important. And the more I'm finding out, of course, when something hits you at home, of course, it is important, but Lynn and I really just want to share this with everyone.
I can't wait to. Yeah. So can I start by asking the question? And Lynn, I can start with you because Kim's throwing the ball in your court. Catch it. Got it. Okay, you go, girl. What was it that had you step into this arena? Why did you have this surgery in the first place?
After having 3 kids, I was somewhat incontinent, and being a big athlete, it really hit home one day when I had been out for like a 5-mile run, you know, from the gym with a bunch of friends, running down a hill, and all of a sudden I couldn't hold it. And, you know, so I basically got in my car and went home, but, you know, I'm like, I cannot, it's taking my quality of life away. So, at that time, somebody else said, "Oh, I just had surgery for this." I don't even think I knew that it existed until this person popped into my life. And so I actually had one done that was pigskin, which also deteriorated and left a lot of scar tissue. Then I had it done again, probably 10 years later, maybe even later than that. I'm trying to think time frame, but just say 10 years later. And that's when they started using mesh. And so I opted for it again. And at the time, I think it was around the time that I started nutrition school and being exposed to people in holistic health. And I had this chiropractor that was actually working out of the gym. And he said to me, "Don't do it. There's other ways." And I didn't listen to him, you know, because I was like, well, what else is there? And now we know there is so much more that we can do with our pelvic floor and exercises and things. But yeah, I proceeded to have that surgery. And I mean, I was like high-end exercise every day with the people that I surrounded myself with.
Yeah, we know you.
And
that.
then, so that was like 2010, I had that mesh implant. I would say, so by 2012, if I go back, I could say, oh my gosh, because I did a triathlon. It was like something that had always been on my bucket list. I couldn't do them because I always had allergies in springtime. And so, but then with all of the holistic healing that I did, my allergies were minimal. So I'm like, I'm going to do a triathlon this year. I trained for that triathlon. And I couldn't understand why I was so exhausted every time. I'm like, I mean, I used to be able to go out and bike for hours or go for a run, but this is when it really started showing up. So I ended up doing this triathlon. I had to basically go home and sleep for almost like 24 hours. Because what it was doing, I'm guessing it was like attacking my mitochondria, so my energy stores. And I always tell people this, and I haven't known this for like years and years and years, that this is relatable. It felt like somebody poked 2 holes in the bottom of my feet and all my energy just drains out. It's not just tired workout energy, it's drained. And so it was such a different feeling. I mean, Kim noticed it along the way because my memory started being affected. She'd be like, "You don't remember that?" I'd be like, "No." So like my memory has suffered across the board. So then 10 years later, or let's see, 11. So yeah, 20. So 2020, the end of 2019, I started getting an infection. It was a vaginal infection. Kept going to the gynecologist, would go to the doctor. For a year and a half, they band-aided me with medication. And then every time I would get an infection, I would get conjunctivitis. And I spoke to somebody recently, and she had gone into septic and she lost her hearing. She said, when you go into like a septic space, place, she said the hairs in your ears it gets rid of them, and that's what travels the sound. So I've lost hearing. And like little stories and people that have been coming into my life even more recently, it's like, yes. So, and then when I would get those infections, I'd get conjunctivitis. My eyes would be a mess. And of course, this was during COVID. So people thought I had COVID.
Yeah. You're like walking around. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
she's tagged. There's
yeah.
a cross on her. Yeah.
It was definitely systemic to this part of my body, because I was always congested, like not dripping, but just everything.
Full of it.
Yeah. I lost a tooth during that time. I had an infection. I had root canal. The infection just wouldn't go away. I finally had to pull my tooth out. So everything, and that could have like affected my hearing as well, with it all being here.
So it's all these compounding issues, constant compounding.
Yeah.
It was like growing.
But I didn't know it until like that infection really hit. And then I had a friend that, she goes, "Go to my doctor." And he was a gynecologist, urologist. So I made an appointment, and I had this like awakening the week before I went and saw him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet it's that mesh sling. Sure enough, I go in, I tell him, he does an internal, and in 3 seconds, he's like, yep. So a year ago, December, I had my first surgery, and he removed a lot. Also, he gave me a hysterectomy too, which I wasn't too happy about. But so, I mean that, he's like, you're through menopause, and just take out the parts. So,
well,
and when you're in such pain, yeah, that's okay. When you're in such pain and been dealing with something, you're just like, do whatever, just make me feel better. Get rid of this stuff out of me.
You were like, all of us who were around you at that time, we're all getting that same feeling, like, here's the threshold and here's sepsis, and you were there. So for him to pull everything that he felt was infected.
Yeah.
And
and
I was don't do it, like you need the, you need those, whatever, but
it's the people that say you should and shouldn't get their place in your business, but it was septic, and it was when you had the hysterectomy, it was done
that no one could catch,
and the doctor's he's not going to tell me I'm septic. But what he did say to me, he goes, if you weren't so healthy, you would be so sick.
Oh my God. Thank God.
So, yeah. So I'm so thankful for the path that led me to holistic health and how I've been able to care for myself.
Yeah. I think what people also have to, understand with Lynn, when her saying like, this is a girl when she belongs to like 3 gyms, she bikes, she walks, she lifts, she does, these athlons, and
I remember the mud races.
The Tough Mudders. And
oh my God.
She's got to keep her body moving. And she eats really well.
Takes the right supplements, I know.
Appropriately, uses, holistic means first. So yeah, I think it was just like, but that all was masking or keeping her alive, really.
But what this was it was medical intervention in the beginning. And this that created this cascading effect. So you were doing your work, the system wasn't doing theirs.
Yeah.
So can I just throw it now over to Kim for a second? Can you tell your story from like what made you make the decision to do this? And what was the journey?
Similar. It was kind of like all the rage. I had 2 daughters and was starting with incontinence. I would have never known anything about them, but my doctor's office brought it up. I think that they were starting to find out that it was lucrative for them to install these.
Mhm.
I was taking a couple like boot camp classes and a belly dance class, just trying to get some movement in my life with the kids and whoops, leak. Oh, but that was it was one of those things that you just thought, okay, well, I had kids and this is what it's going to be. No one told you that, those muscles themselves will go back and strengthen themselves all on their own eventually. But you may need to do some more pelvic floor exercises and workouts. And there's so many centers now. And again, you mentioned we have this group that we put together. All this kind of information, Lynn and I will put in there. And if there's anything that we miss and we said that, hey, we'll share this information with you, please feel free to
email us or definitely
let us know. And I'm also just kind of digressing because that's how my brain works. I do have a thing that I will also post in the group for something to do for sepsis that I found out about fairly recent. So it's supposed to be a sure kind of like if you're in that position, this is what you should do. It's a very high dose that niacinamide, that I'm dyslexic. So but yeah, so my story is so I had to put in for that. It was for me, I mean, I've had my appendix removed. I was sick my whole entire life. Kind of have been that kind of person under the weather, like cold, flu. Come to find out, fast forward years later, I have a genetic disorder called Pyrrhus disorder, where I lose a lot of my nutrients. So was kind of blaming all of anything on that. But I've had surgery in the past, and I didn't like the recoup time from. I went home that day. It was a very quick surgery. I remember feeling so bad, so horrible. And I kept thinking like it took 2 months to heal, to go back to feeling like myself. And I really, really remember feeling like, oh my God, is this my life now? I feel horrible. Wow. But yeah, the incontinence stopped. And then in 2010, that's when we met, right, Len, at school? Mm-hmm. Was learning more about not necessarily Pyrrhus disorder, with that disorder that I have specific nutrients that I have to make a dose and then pay attention to other nutrients. For example, I'm chronically low in iron. It's part of the deficiency that I have because my body doesn't hold on to things like B6 and magnesiums and precursors that you need to actually then absorb into your iron.
And then even on top of that, as we age, that's what happens.
Yeah, so, and
you get a double whammy.
Yeah. Finding out all these, Lynn and I are finding out all these amazing information and eating better and what can we supplement for our bodies and what essential oils would be phenomenal for this and that and the other. And we're like soaring, all of us look like we walked into the spa, came out 20 years younger, and we're taking off. We're, our own health coaching businesses. Lynn's, now off getting higher education, more advanced degrees. She's working at some personal training stuff. Like, we're taking off. My essential oil business and health coaching,
life is going on. Yeah.
Great. Like making huge strides for the community, for people getting the message out there. And then both of us kind of separately nosedove, right, at different time frames. Exhaustion, fatigue, not sleeping. Lynn's getting Epstein-Barr, her body couldn't take, my body couldn't, I'm just constantly sick. So, our amazing friend and mentor, Cynthia, had said to me, you think it's that mesh thing? I think you need to get it out. And I was what
I remember her having this conversation with you. I remember talking about you guys. I remember this clearly.
Get it out. And talk to my doctor about it. And so I went through 2 different gynecologists and then now my internal doctor, also, who's a family practitioner, does it too. They were feeling what was like, I like to say it was like, felt like if you're petting a lizard, the back of a lizard. So they're feeling something in my vagina when doing exams. And I go, well, they're like, what's that? I'm like, well, I think it's my mesh. Oh, okay. No one investigates this. No one investigates this. So I had run into Lynn, and she's got infection all up in her eyes and so worried about her. So we start talking about this. She's saying she's going in. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go see this guy. I make the appointment. They're barely not, they're pushing me out. I have no symptoms. So, here's your there's pain, more incontinence, involuntary urination, which I am already, yes, I was having pain, sexual intercourse. So yeah, I was getting like these weird pains here and there, but they're sharp and they would go away. Or, sex with pain, pain with sex, but they were sharp and they'd go away. It wasn't like, and nothing consistent. Again, telling doctors this. So when I go in the examination, he's asking me all these questions and no. And he literally is like, I don't think there's a problem here. Gets into the examination and just exactly like Len, it's like the guy pulls his hand out and he's like, what? You have erosion. You knew you had erosion. I'm like, I don't know what erosion is. This mesh that was installed inside of me was eroding me from the inside out. So dealing with low levels of infection, that with all my nutrients and my supplements and my healthy eating, we're keeping at bay. But it was so interesting because I had gotten to this really kind of nice place, and I think this was before the erosion was really taking hold, and then the other complications that I had. But I was just like in such a high that like everything was going so well, health, mind. I am dyslexic, but my dyslexia was clearing up, like all this crazy stuff, right? All these amazing things. And then I just nosedive. Next day I couldn't get out of bed. So going in, he's like, well, same thing. If you weren't so healthy, you would have all these issues. So even going into it so Lynn has had, 3 surgeries. I've had 2 now, possibly have to do a 4th or a third. But going into when he went in to do my first surgery, he was like, it was installed improperly, which is part of the problem. But then he was just like, prolapse in my anus, prolapse in my vagina, just literally pulling my entire body down from the inside out. So this is just something that was fighting. Got that, I started to feel really great. And then that was in March, and then opted, still having incontinence, to have a birch stitch done, which they use your own ligaments and they go in and stitch off of the pelvic bone. And when he went in to go do that, that was going to be done, or was done robotically. He said he goes in and pops down the bladder, sticks it off the side, goes in and does his work. He goes, but I went in and your bladder wouldn't move. And your bladder, he goes like, it's so confusing. It's like, because I'm not trying to brag, but if you had a different surgeon, they wouldn't have touched this. They would have, left you in place. But it turns out that the mesh was stuck to my bladder, which was stuck to my body. So other incisions had to be made. As far as like the simplistic approach of this surgery is, mine ended up to be, extremely complicated. And I don't know, 3 weeks, and I'm starting to feel better, but still, like in the evening, it hurts a lot. It hurts. So, waiting to feel better would be great, but I still have mesh in me. We couldn't get it all. I did. Lynn and I both have talked about how many women we ran into. I just talked with someone else who was saying their best friend. Same thing as far as the mesh attaching to her bladder. So she had to have an emergency and have her bladder removed at 62 years old. I can't even imagine than the rest of your life, you know, having to deal with.
ever
Yeah.
having to deal with this. Your stories, thank you, are just incredibly moving.
I mean,
And,
you know,
and
it just for families, you know, my husband and I have gone through so much, just again, with between painful sex or just at the desire not wanting to have sex is huge for this. And so even my first surgery, I had a fourth of my vagina removed. You know, this time there was more, and he even wanted to, he was like, oh, let's just, you know, hysterectomy. I'm like, no. But still, it's, you know, there's, besides just kind of destroying my life and then being told I was crazy, that was the other part. You know, how many doctors did you and I talk to?
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
don't, if we would not have
Yeah.
found this doctor.
No, my gynecologist told me I had an STD, and that's what she kept.
oh,
No, I
nice,
no,
very
yeah.
nice.
Because you and your
Meanwhile,
husband are looking at each other, right?
like we've been married for like 37 years. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think so. But you know, you're in such pain, you're like, okay, I'll take the medication. And it band-aided it for a little bit, and then it would just come back. And then after surgery, what I've experienced, my mesh, the last surgery I had, he went in, he found more, because I kept telling him, I'm like, there's more. I still have infection. It wasn't as bad as it had been, but I could tell. You just know, your body knows. So he went in, he found more, and it was like attached. I guess the attachment point was by my left hip. Well, I had months where I could barely walk. So I started going to a chiropractor. Emotionally, physically, mentally, I was melting in last April. I was like, and being in the field that we're in, I'm like, I don't have to stay this way. There are solutions out there. And my chiropractor that I had not seen in years, for me, I had a small falling out as far as just not agreeing with him with something. So I had stopped going. I just got a download, you need to go see him. So I started seeing him again. And my sympathetic nervous system was, he did a scan, and I guess what measures your stress markers in the body and the inflammation and everything was like off the charts. So I had been gaining weight and craving sugar again, like just everything. I think because when you feel lousy, you're just not, I just don't take care of myself. I reach for the carbs, I reach for the sugar. But on top of that, I was having so much pain. I couldn't exercise because it affected my pelvis so much. And I've been in some of the mesh groups and other women too, complaining of this pelvic pain. And I didn't associate it at first. So I'm paying to go see a yoga instructor that is very well versed in body mechanics, and she's working with me. Just the expense then of going to a chiropractor, it's not covered by insurance, doing a nutrition program that would go in and clean out all the cells in my body, put my body into autophagy. I would do anything, because just like when I had Lyme and Cynthia helped me, I'm like, I'll do anything. I do not want to be in this place where I'm sick all my life. So it's like, I do it all. I don't care what it costs, because this is my health. And, money's not going to buy me a new body down the road if I'm not taking care of it,
Right. And just multiply that with what both of you have been through. And then, like, God, Lynn, everything you just mentioned, it's like multiply that by hundreds of thousands of women who've had the surgery to correct it, not alone the millions probably of women who've had the surgery who have done nothing and lived their lives in such intense pain and not knowing why. And have you ever?
I really think we're at this place where every single doctor needs to speak to their female patients and ask if they've had these messes. And if they have, they need to be removed. Especially if they're these class 2 ones that like Lynn and I have. which strangely enough, for a short amount of time, were protected because they're old.
Yes,
Here's my message too, for women and for men. I mean, we going through this, Lynn even helped me realize they use these mesh for hernias in men
Mhm,
and women.
mhm.
Men are having these horrific issues as well. And this is my big thing that I wanted to say here, and I really want everyone to know about this, is any medical device that is installed into people in the United States, there is no proof of concept. There is no trials. They can fill out paperwork and pay the fee and start installing without it even being put into a rat. And
You are the trial.
we are the trial.
Are the trial. You're the
2,000
trial.
people have to die before it gets pulled from the market.
And that's
Lynn
not
and
even true
I
anymore.
could have
That's,
died, but we don't get to count in that to get it
Mhm.
pulled from the market.
You're
And
not part of that number.
yeah, and so many people just don't know. The doctors are not connecting these dots. Our doctor, I mean, Lynn and I have the same doctor, and we really like her. She didn't connect the dots. Our gynecologist didn't connect the dots. I think we're seeing this all in as well. Lynn and also brought this up, was, with the breast implants. Now we're seeing the mold and the leakage, and people are not being, it's not being shared. I mean, I know a couple women who've, the journey and the fight they had to go through
Well,
to
this
get
is exactly
someone
what you're going
without
through.
being actually sick and not knowing
Mhm.
why, and then it turning out
Yep.
to be.
So I want to throw something out there that we've not talked about, but just has popped into my head. The possibility, and Lynn, you're mentioning the craving for sugar and all, the need for like that, what we would think would be comfort. I'll just have that sugar. It makes me feel loved and happy, and what I like bologna, but and bologna too. But our parasites. Parasites, I believe, are like well entrenched into this, because they're entrenched in our guts, and they're entrenched in we're full of bugs, and bad bugs, good bugs. This stuff with gut health and that. But I'm wondering if the parasite issues are also compounding this even more for all of these different devices being put in. But it's like you've been eaten alive, basically. Sounds like what's happening with this mesh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just completely thrown off, like everything. And that's why I don't know if I will, we didn't get it all out. So if I don't get better within another year, I'm going to go back and have another one to see if we can get the rest of it.
And does it continue to grow when it's in your,
No,
or does it just is
Go ahead, Lynn.
immersed into your?
Yeah. I think it just embeds.
It
Mhm.
embeds, so they just have to take out more parts of you.
Yeah. So, and even going back to, I know we haven't really brought this up, but the whole lawsuit thing,
Mhm.
my doctors don't have my records anymore. They can get rid of your records after 8 years. So if anybody is under that marker, I suggest going and getting your records, because I had contacted a lawyer. All he needed was the mesh I had put in, and like the lot of it, whatever, I must have a lot number.
Yeah, there's a lot number. Yeah.
That's all he would have needed to pursue a lawsuit, because they went after the mesh companies. And I guess there's definitely still lawsuits happening from it, but I cannot do that unless I go another route and open up a full-blown case. And yeah, and it's so costly to heal from this, to really do it right, to do everything that your body needs to heal from this without being left with saying, and this is how the space so many women are in, this is just how life is now. No, it does not have to be. It's like, you got to fight. You got to be willing to spend whatever it takes to, to heal your body, because that's the one and only thing that we have to really live a good life. And if you feel lousy, you're not going to make money. You're not going to have good relationships. All starts with you and how you feel, with your relationship with yourself and how you are physically, mentally, emotionally. And then, that's what, it's where everything starts from.
Right.
If you don't
starts and
have it,
finishes with you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does.
And I will say just exactly what Lynn said too. Make sure you get your records. Like, I'm in the same position. Everyone's like, "What? You're on the lawsuit, right?" And I'm like, I don't know what kind of mesh shape, but why don't you go find out? I'm like, I don't have it in my records. Well, the same thing. It's your doctor expels it, and so does your insurance company. So if you can't get those records from them, which I also tried, then I don't have the information to give to a lawyer to do that. Now, excitingly enough, I was just sent this morning, which was, I thought was exciting. It's been going on, I think, since 2008, 2015, a lawsuit in Australia, which they were just awarded $300 million, the victims there. So they've shut that down here too. There's been, let me see, what was it? 18 billion or 80 billion in the United States has already been paid out.
Yeah.
None of that money can give you back the time,
No,
your energy, your health in the way that you were on the trajectory you had set out to do so many years ago. You were already on the health path. This is so alarming. And the lesson for all of our listeners, and if you haven't done this yourself, you will just get out there and talk to people. There's so many people, men and women, who've had this done. And the fact that now you can't even take it to court,
yeah, I'm gonna find a way.
Right. No, I was researching it prior to our show today. So what do you do? Where do you go from here?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We
I want an answer.
Right. Right. I mean, from that perspective, I don't know, but all I know is that I can still focus on me right now and healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, with the whole lawsuit thing, I didn't even talk to the surgeon that did our surgery. Like, when he was taking that out, does he know exactly what it was? And like, is that like a backdoor in? I don't know. Or is it just over pain and suffering and everything?
Yeah. So the lawsuits, this is something now, this is another, I think, happy accident from this call, which it wasn't anything my intention to do. There are a lot. So I'm going to even be looking into more of that, and I'll post more information in the group, because there are so many class action suits and things that they're suing over that, again, I had no, like, people are suing over loss of jobs, loss of marriage, because of their marriages are breaking up from this, which I can completely, it's been, like I said, it's put my husband through the ringer. And then I can't even just imagine the thousands of women who still don't know what's wrong. And again, it's this conversation that I want, where do we go from this? I want us all to have a conversation with your friends. If they're not feeling good, ask them, do you have an implant? Some type of something stuck into your body that, and then have them push that conversation with their doctors to see, because again, I wouldn't have pushed because I didn't think anything of it. And I've been told over and over again, no, it's not causing you any problems.
Yeah. Well, I said to you, I had said, I mean, when I found out, and then we started talking, I'm like, you need to go get this checked. Go see him. Like, non-negotiable.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember even, like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd be watching something on TV and it would come across the news. It'd be like a late night thing, and they'll be talking about the MASH and have you had the MASH in a class action lawsuit? And I'm sitting there, not having had it done or not having any information about it, thinking, oh, old people are dealing with this. And that's not the case.
They're offering these and putting them in women who are 36 years old.
Yeah.
Or late 20s.
These are moms.
Mm-hmm.
Moms. Yeah, these are young moms. So I think, by the time I'm 52, by the time you get up into our age, and this is, we're seeing, years of what it's done to our bodies.
Yep.
We are 100% the guinea pigs. You know,
Yeah. I was probably mid 30s when I had that first one put in. I don't think that one affected me in the same way the mesh did, with like pigskin versus mesh. It did embed in my body, so it caused a lot of scar tissue, but I do not feel like those first 10 years it was systemic and affected like my energy and all the other things.
Wow.
yeah.
And
I
now,
think, I mean, I'm still in that healing phase. Again, like, I don't even know if I'm gonna have to have another surgery. Definitely, like Lynn said, making sure to focus on, you know, me, what kind of therapies I could do for me, what kind of nutrients I can put in me, what kind of supplements I can put in me. And, you know, that's really, really important, because I think, you know, Lynn and I 100% are testimonial to that. You know, going into it, they
Yeah.
didn't know we had an issue. I would say we're definitely healing better, and luckily we caught it where, you know,
Yeah.
I think we can heal from it.
Yeah.
The stories I continue to hear about the women who caught it late, it was caught later than ours. And they're really suffering, and they were not as in this healthy space.
right. They didn't have the
Yeah.
strength. I would say you both have like health strength, health. Something that I have here on my desk that I look at all the time, it says, "My worlds create my world." And so when you say, "I think that I will get through this, or I will feel," so just changing your words will be the beginning
Yes.
of actually making this the truth. You are healthy. You are going to get through this, and this is your platform in which you stand, and you will make noise and raise your sabers, because
Yeah.
I feel it. And I'm so proud of both of you for coming forward and having this conversation. This is big. It's big. So on the new Facebook group, I know that you're going to bring forth lots of information in that. Do you have any other thoughts or ideas of other things you want to do? Is it an ebook? Is it a book? Is it like, I always challenge and I did warn you about this. I always challenge my guests to put forth what the next intention is.
I first want to say the Facebook group, we want the voices of other women in there. We want to know, you know, where they're at, what they're looking for, even, you know, what they have found. We all want to come together as a collective so that we can help one another. I mean, that is the sole intention. And then, yes, we could create ebooks, but I want to see what people are looking for. What are women looking for? What do they need to know? And that will guide us as to how we can better help them. And then
Just even
maybe,
if if you're listening today and you have a friend who didn't listen or whatever, please invite them to the group, you know, to share. I think it's important for all of us to band together. You know, Lynn and I are in a bunch of other Facebook groups, which it's heartbreaking.
it is.
So
It is
heartbreaking.
so heartbreaking
I think
because
also,
they don't know where to begin.
Right.
And
You
then
can't come in and tell them what they should be doing.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I mean,
Unless you
we
guide
can
them.
share our story as to what we've done.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you are not feeling good, you don't even have the capacity to move to say, I can do that. You know, it's getting rid of the brain fog. It's upping your energy. Those are the first things that will like kind of give you that momentum to take care of yourself and say, yes, I'm going to do this, or I choose, choose. We all have a choice as to what we can do. So we can either stay where we're at or we can move forward. And, Kim and I are like, this end of the spectrum as to we've done the work. What's this gap in between? Well, her and I can fill in a lot of that gap as to where people are, through what we've done, through our nutrition, through just all the information that we have dug into. And we just want to be there for women to give them the choice.
And if this
Perfect.
ends up being a, march on Washington, that'd be awesome too. I don't know.
I think it would be probably a march to all of these doctors' offices would be a good start. But it was seriously, this is wonderful. And
And
so
I would highly also, just one more thing too, because there's so many people are in this discussion, no matter what, talk to your doctors about this. Whether you have a mesh or an implant or not, just talk when you're in with your doctor, tell them, hey, I heard these people on these shows. You might want to be aware of it. If you have clients or, patients who are coming in and you can't figure out what's wrong with them, ask them this. I mean,
this is one of those incidences I would say you should ask your clients.
it would be lovely if we would all, do that to help support it. Yeah. I'm asking people to ask just to bring awareness.
That's how you talk.
Because I think, our doctor's amazing. And I think I know she feels horrible and guilty. She said, both Lynn and I have it in our paperwork that we have a mesh.
But you taught her something. It's all a teaching, learning experience, even as difficult and horrific as it is. So we're going to have to, I'm going to release you shortly, but I just wanted to ask each of you separately if you can give one tip that our listeners can take away, that if they are dealing with this or they know somebody's dealing with this, what's one thing that they can do or they can tell someone to do? What's the one thing? Kim.
Well, Lynn, did you have something? Or you
Go ahead.
I was reading Kim. I was reading Lynn's eyes.
I mean, if you have a mesh, period, I would find an appropriate surgeon who does the reconstructive surgeries, and ask. Actually, I would join one of the groups and then ask around for the best person in your area to go see.
Perfect.
And get in and have it looked at. Honestly, I would like to say get rid of it. It's going to cause you problems.
Okay.
The chances are very, very high. And
Lynn.
Sure, I'm muted. Yeah, I would say join our group and ask questions.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, yeah, what Kim said is absolutely 100%. However, again, we can maybe direct you quicker. We're going to close that gap quicker as to where you are and where you want to be. And, maybe we won't have the answers, but we can certainly find them.
And help support you. Yeah. Because you're not alone. You don't have to be alone.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is fabulous. And where can our listeners find you? And I have 1 minute for you to.
Okay, well, they can join the medical, what would you call it? Medical mess group.
Mama.
Yes. And you can always, send me a message on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. I do digital marketing. I work on Facebook. So Lynn Veenstra, V as in Victor, EENSTRA. You can find me there. I'm always happy to have a conversation because it's so important.
Me too. Thank you. Okay. And Kim, where can our listeners find you? We know also on the Facebook group.
Find me in group on the Facebook, on Instagram, Kim Schultz Ferrantino, Dynamic Health 101.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love you both. And I'm so grateful for this conversation. And so our listeners know we are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Weezer. We are on Pandora. We are on Spotify. We are on multiple podcast platforms. This will be posted in approximately 2 days, 1 to 2 days. So all this show here will be posted then. This will be streaming also. It will be on the new Medical Mess Facebook group, and also in my Facebook book page, and also on CTR, Contact Talk Radio page. So with that, thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so very much, and everyone take a deep breath now. and release it. And know that you're not alone here on the Family Balancing Act. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.